The Fitzroy Dance Centre, Melbourne's premier gay and lesbian dance centre.
Welcome to Bent-O-Rama. Tonight in Shades of Grey we look at sex, gender and sexual preferences, areas that are complex and often misunderstood. Tonight we speak with two cross-dressers, Louise and Tina, a transsexual, Philippa, and we talk to Frank, who manages a fetish store. Also Danny and Becky talk about their bisexuality. These people represent merely part of the sexual spectrum.
Oh, hello. Lovely having you.
You too.
Good. Good to see you.
Hello,
Lovely to
Louise.
see you too. Good.
Hello,
And you.
Louise.
Good.
What sexuality are most cross-dressers? I read somewhere that 90% of cross-dressers are heterosexual. Is that true?
Well, that is not physical equipment. That's physical preference, sexual preference, whether they're heterosexual or homosexual. Physical equipment is the testicles, the penis, the breasts, the womb, and all that sort of equipment. The sexual preference is a third area, which does not necessarily...
Oh, I'm getting very confused, Louise.
It is a third area,
Right.
which does not necessarily tie in with either your brain or your physical equipment.
Keep going.
The homosexual is a person who has a preference for the same-sex people. And they have worked out ways to have sexual stimulation between the two, even though their equipment is the same. The most, well, I'll change the switch back for a moment, transsexual. To say whether a transsexual is homosexual or heterosexual, you'd have to define whether you're speaking physically or psychologically, particularly after the operation.
Right.
All right, so particularly before the operation, because if they have got male equipment and they believe they are women, they want to get off with a man, and before the operation they'd be homosexual, but that relationship after the operation would be heterosexual.
Aha.
That is the position with transsexuals. With a transvestite, the prevalence of homosexuality amongst transvestites is considerably lower than it is in the general public. Although there are some homosexuals who cross-dress to caricature women, whereas the true transvestite cross-dresses to emulate women. There's a big distinction between emulating and caricaturing.
With everything that's been in the media recently, like say Priscilla and drag queens, has that done anything to help desensitise the general public?
To my mind, Priscilla and shows of that type, which feature primarily drag queens, fail completely to give the right idea to the public. In fact, they tend to give the wrong idea, because they illustrate the drag queen's idea of caricaturing women, whereas transvestite wants to emulate and look as realistic as they can.
Hi Tina.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Good, thanks. Excellent. Tina, what's the life of a cross-dresser like?
Oh, it's great. Really loads of fun. It's great. But the only thing is that a lot of people think we're gay, and that's a real shame that we're actually not. Only about 4% of people who cross-dress are actually gay. It's a real shame, but it's excellent fun.
Do you go out much?
Not as much as I'd like to. I live at home and the parents don't really accept it, so it's a real hassle trying to sort of go behind their backs and stuff. But I go out as often as I can.
How long have you been cross-dressing?
About 11 years this year. It started off in a play. I was in Indian school and I felt extremely comfortable in that role and real natural, and so that's how it started and sort of went from there.
How much effort do you put into your appearance as a cross-dresser over the years?
Well, as regards effort, in the early days it was just slapping on a bit of makeup and things like that. I didn't understand the whole side of it then. But now, since I've moved into living full time, I've had to put a little bit of effort into it, but certainly none of the effort of having to get waxing or electrolysis or that sort of thing. This is completely natural. I've been very, very fortunate with virtually no hair there at all.
Aren't we fabulous?
This is hormones. It's given me a bit of shape there.
I didn't say you weren't a weirdo, Hollis. I mean, Holly. But, well, this is America.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
The Constitution says you got a right to be weird if you wanna. So if you want to pretend you're a woman, go ahead and pretend.
Thank you, Uncle. Now, hand me my bra from the bed.
Your bra? What do you need a bra for?
Thank you.
Films such as Tootsie, Holly, Some Like It Hot and Priscilla have brought the issues of cross-dressing and transsexuality into the public eye. With me at the moment I've got Philippa Reid, and we've just discovered that we've got the same earrings on. So how long have you been cross-dressing?
Oh, forever.
Forever?
Yeah.
So you knew from a young child that...
Yeah, 8 or 9, something like that, yeah. So it's been, for quite a while.
What are some of the difficulties that you've had along the way?
Oh, just being accepted, I think. It's getting better now, but yeah, just being, well, not so much being accepted, just, I don't know, trying to keep it to yourself for quite a while was one thing.
I'd like to speak a little bit about your family. You said earlier on that you and your wife had 3 children.
Yes, 3 boys. One track mind, she said I had.
Do your boys know?
My boys know. I made it my business to tell them. They were very hostile about it, and 2 of them still are. One has come around a bit now. He's married the 2nd time. But I was told there that by my eldest son there, why don't I see somebody about it? So I went to see my minister and to explain to him the situation. His comment there was, I can't see anything wrong about it, but I'll neither condemn nor condone it.
Do you have a partner that knows?
No.
So you haven't sort of had to face that?
No, I was married once, but it was sort of very much in the background.
Right. And you never thought of telling your wife, or?
Not at the time, no.
No.
Now I probably would, but not at the time.
What are some of the good things about cross-dressing?
I've got a lot more friends than what I used to have. A lot more friends.
Through the Seahorse Club?
Yeah, and my friends that I've had for years are now closer, because I've told all my friends. And
were you worried about doing that?
the guys I was telling my mates, my friends, but the girls wasn't a problem. But once I told one, and it just wasn't a problem after that.
What do you think it is? This sort of ochre image?
Why I was
worried about telling the guys?
I was worried about their reaction. Because one of my mates has been a mate since we all met in Cub, so 9 years old, we've been mates.
for a while.
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah. Too long. Makes you think too long. Yeah.
I don't.
No, but that was fine. Yeah, it's just treats me just as I am, just me.
What are these? That's you as a baby in Scotland?
Yes.
And
That was
that's
the nurse
you.
who was looking after me at the time. See, well, I'll give you a little bit of history there. I was conceived in Melbourne. Dad and Mum went over to Scotland, where I was born. Mum died when I was 2 months, Dad when I was 15 months. My grandmother went over and brought me back to Australia.
I see, and this is the...
These are, they were in Scotland. That was when I arrived in Australia.
You almost look like a little girl there.
Hmm?
You almost look like a little girl there.
Yeah, well, that frocks there, whether that was the origin where I started wearing frocks, I don't know. I don't remember that much.
Well, it was back in 1915.
Yeah,
These two look quite good. Who's this?
that's my auntie,
Your auntie?
and that's my father.
So you were named after your father?
Yes, I was named after my father and my mother. That's my dad.
Oh, and that's your father. Good God, your father's in a skirt too. What was that one?
It's a university rag or something like that.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
My mother was Louise Hyacinth Mary, my father was Cedric. Just had the one name. So they gave me Cedric Louis, and when I decided to switch, I simply feminised the Louis into Louise and dropped the Cedric.
What job did you have?
I was chief draftsman at Dunlop Rubber in the design office of the various equipment used to make rubber products.
Did anyone know that you cross-dressed in your work?
No, I wasn't public at that time. That's been much more recent.
Like, do you get your legs waxed?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Yes, so do I. Your bikini line?
Yeah, the whole lot.
The whole lot.
Yeah.
Do you have to get your arms done?
Yeah,
I suppose?
yeah.
What about your face? Is that a problem?
Yeah, electrolysis.
Electrolysis.
I'm sort of in the process at the moment.
Oh, right. Is that painful?
Yes,
Oh.
very.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Becky Tully and I'm 25 years old. I'm bisexual and I came out around about 2 years ago, which was wonderful experience, and exploring the whole area, as you could say, and whole joining with the gay community as well, which is great.
With me, I've got Danny Heap, and Danny's going to talk to me about bisexuality. Danny, you're part of building up a bisexual club, is that right?
Group called BAM, Bisexual Awareness in Melbourne.
How long has that been going for?
We've been running since April '94. The group was around for a little while before that, but it really kicked off in April. We had our first major event, which was a Bi Bonanza, which was held at a pub.
Very good.
Got lots of people in, got some memberships out of it, and so we've got the money rolling, so we're starting to advertise a bit more and therefore get more members.
Do you talk about issues like, what about coming out? I mean, that's often an issue. Part of this program is also about cross-dressing. What about growing up when you were a teenager? What sorts of feelings did you have and other members?
In my case, I've been really lucky. I sort of at a fairly early age sort of woke up and thought, okay, this is the way I am, and I accepted it without too much hassle. We've had people ring up that have needed a real talk there. We've had letters from people who have been in the situation of, oh, I don't know, I'm attracted to women, but I've never slept with one. So if I haven't slept with a woman, does that mean I'm bisexual? And my answer to that is, well, people who are heterosexual don't necessarily need to sleep with the opposite sex to know it. And
So a bisexual's life can be full and happy and rewarding.
Oh, definitely. It's a lot of fun. It's also can be very frustrating as well, trying to tell other people that we're not going through a phase, you know, you know, I know what I want, and most bisexuals know what they want once they've accepted themselves as bis, because it's very confusing. But once you accept yourself, it's very fulfilling, yes.
So what would you say you want?
To be accepted for what I am, and what I can believe in. If I can accept others, I hope other people can accept me. And as for a whole, I would like the whole community just to appreciate it, respect it, and just learn from it too.
Oh, for sure. Last 12 months has been probably the best 12 months of my life.
We've had people who've had it easy coming out. Some people it's taken years. We've got a fair percentage of members that are active in the gay lesbian community that publicly identify as gay or lesbian, because they'll get hassled less if they do that, which is a bit of a shame, but that's the way things are.
What about the argument that I've heard from some gay and lesbian people that bisexual people are just confused and haven't got the guts to make a decision?
Well, if you go back, you know, a few years, gay people were just sick perverts. So, you know, if they can say to us that, oh, we were just confused or you're gutless, well then they're discriminating against bisexuals as badly as gays and lesbians were discriminated against. I know of a couple of conversations with people where it's run along the lines of, well come on, the gays and that had a hard time getting any sort of acceptance, so we'd think that maybe you'd be a bit more supportive towards the bisexuals. And one response was, well, we didn't have it easy, why should you?
Whoa.
Yeah, which is, you know, that's not an excuse. It's like saying, well, you know, would you people have problems with someone who was black and gay? Well, why do you have problems with someone who's bisexual?
The majority of gay men aren't like that, you know, so...
I've been reading all your words, I've been reading through your diary, reading all you've heard, I've been reading all your posters, I've been reading all the time, I've been reading through your postcards, I've been reading through your mind. You don't want to tame this beast within.
Go up to the shopping centre up here where I've been shopping for years. How's Louise today? And all that sort of thing. Very, very happy about me and that sort of thing. There's virtually no problems at all in that respect.
Against the law, you walk into the shop and pick up a dress and try it on.
Sometimes I'll say no, a lot of shops will say no, but it's actually no against the law too for the shops to do that. Federal sexual discrimination, but you know, not supposed to.
No one's ever worried about it. Well, it's all in your attitude, I think. Like I said before, your own
attitude, and if you show that you're nervousness and worried, anything like that, well, the shopkeeper will recognise that and think it probably upset other customers. And
if you walk in there trying to hide your face.
But yeah, I'll just go in anyway.
Oh yes, for sure. There you go.
No, well, again too, when I was over in England there, I was staying there at just ordinary private home bed and breakfast. Welcome back if I went back to the same place again.
Really, that's good.
Yeah, well, I've been involved in other clubs, not cross-dressing type clubs, but car clubs and things. And they all accept me for what I am now.
Yeah.
I joined the club as daughter.
So it's not as difficult as what I
heard? Not as difficult as what a lot of us think it is.
I suppose it must take a lot of courage though. I mean, the first time you go out would be difficult.
But, you don't go off the deep end for the start of it. You sort of work yourself into it. And so far as I'm concerned, I joined Toastmasters with no problems. I told a girl who interviewed about it for what I was, and I've spoken at Toastmasters on the subject, and that photograph of myself as a Christmas decoration, that was a Toastmasters Christmas do.
So have you told your families that you're bisexual?
Yes, definitely. My mum's bisexual and my auntie's bisexual as well, so I sometimes wonder if it's the genes, you know, running in the family. And my mum and all my friends knew about me before I knew about myself, usually when I did come out, they all said, "Oh, we knew about you," you know. So I think, "Oh, why didn't you tell me?" You know.
How did they know?
They said it was my body language towards females. I just seemed to be more relaxed around females and so they figured out, and they knew I had a boyfriend at the time, so they thought, you know, and so coming out was pretty easy. There were a little few hitches, you know, with some long-term friends, and when I told them, they were sort of just a bit confused more likely than anything else. They accepted it, but in the long run, everything was okay. I have received a few negative responses like, "Oh, you know, you're going through a phase, oh, I suppose you'll be getting married, then you're not going to be going out with a woman, you know." And I just say, you know, look, if Mrs. Right or Mr. Right comes along, well, it happens, you know. But coming out was fantastic, and also I felt as if I didn't have a mask on. Practically like 95% of everyone I know knows about me, except my workmates.
Oh, but why? But why?
I wonder why. They'll probably know if they see this.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Have you avoided telling your workmates?
Yes. I must say there are 2 people at my work that do know about me. One because I discovered about them being bi, because they came to one of our fundraisers. It was like, you know, but that I wouldn't. Well, really, it's none of their business, really, with my workmates, and I want to keep my private life a little bit separate to work. I feel a bit comfortable, and because I work in a corporate company, it's very conservative. I'm a librarian, and librarians don't really have that kind of image. You know, it's the image of the glasses and all that. But so you've got to sort of like anything to do with alternative is no.
Danny, what about you?
Me, I sort of woke up to myself fairly early on, so compared to most people I had a pretty easy coming out. But I had the situation of I thought, no, I've got to let my mum and dad know. Well, I've never let mum know because I knew mum couldn't cope with it, but with dad I knew he could, which is unusual for most people, but I just know my father really well. So I sat down with him one day and I said, well, okay, Dad, well, you know, basically, there's no easy way to say this, so I'll just blurt it out. I'm bisexual. He sat there and he looked at me for a second. You know, this is a big Aussie bloke who is about 16 stone and red hair, and said, "So you're a poofter?" And I said, "No, I'm bi. I like guys and girls." "But you've had 4 girlfriends." "Yeah, but I can like guys as well." "But you can't be a poofter." It's like, no, you know, like the right guy comes along and we hit it off and things go well, then I'll go out with him. If the right girl comes along and we hit it off and things go out with her.
So what is the phone number for bisexual awareness in Melbourne? Danny?
I can run off and get it. 77 0224. Now you can ring that on Tuesdays between 8 PM and 11, and there'll be someone actually manning the phone.
PO Box, Mount Evelyn 5, XD Publications. I couldn't get CDs, so I got XD Publications, and it's $14.50.
Breathe! Here's the head. Push really hard. A little more. A little more. Here it comes. One more big push. That's it. Here it is. What is it? A boy or a girl?
From the moment of birth, we are socialised according to gender.
I wasn't aware of being different at all. I was only, probably 3 or 4. But as I started to get older, I started to realise that I was a bit different.
I found that I didn't so much feel different, but other people's responses to me caused sort of confusion, because it didn't somehow coincide with how I felt and how I related.
I also noticed around the age of 13, because I was always a tomboy up until that age, and then I got to 13 and it wasn't appropriate any longer, and it was other people commenting on how inappropriate my behaviour was for a young girl.
I think I became aware of how I felt when I was about 4 or 5 maybe, and I had this theory that everybody felt like that, but nobody was just saying anything about it. And eventually I sort of managed to work out that actually wasn't the case by some way.
At about 6 or 7, I became very secretive. All of a sudden I realised society didn't approve of the way I felt I was, and so I went underground and I just didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, and I never really went underground, so to speak, until my mid-teens, when my parents really found out about me actively cross-dressing, and hauled me off to a psychiatrist, and I really found out that I was told quite specifically that I was very different.
Through primary school, I was always sort of identified with the other group, and used to be knocking on the door saying, "For God's sake, let me in." But you don't realise, it was probably more when the change of life, puberty, started to put sexual connotations on the associations of, that it started to hit home that there were clear differences.
It was okay for a girl to be a tomboy.
Yeah.
We didn't. I think you could relate to that too. You didn't have to be sneaky. You didn't have to. You weren't punished. Yeah, you weren't punished for it. It was quite okay. But then you got to a certain age where it was time to mature, and start wearing the dresses and start putting on the makeup, etc. And then you became really sneaky. And I'd find that I was constantly getting myself out of situations.
What do you think a transsexual is?
Transsexual is where you're both ways, as in heterosexual and homosexual.
A transsexual is somebody who has had the operation.
Not really, but the first thing that I suppose would come to mind would be Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Someone who's changed, someone whose physical and cultural, psychological genders are different, and who's chosen to solve what they feel are problems by changing their physical gender.
I believe it's a person who cross-dresses.
Coming out. Yeah, I actually went home on a Friday night. I was attending college at Frankston TAFE, and I hadn't told anyone up until... No, sorry, I told one lady who I thought would sort of tell everybody else, because I was perceived to be rather a very effeminate male, probably homosexual. And so I went home really... Thursday night, sorry, I'd seen Trudy that day, Dr. Kennedy, and I came back on the Monday morning as Sharon and walked into a classroom of people who sort of just looked. And it was great. Everybody thought it was terrific.
I gave them a 1 week's notice, and I was involved in in teaching, I guess. But I went from one day being male, a week later it was female, but all of a sudden I was not allowed to teach. I might contaminate the students. There were the threats of students boycotting classes, parents removing their children from the college, staff feeling personally threatened because they thought their jobs were in jeopardy once people found out, and students saying, well, our qualifications now have been downgraded.
I feel that they need a lot of support and encouragement to be able to live life. Perhaps, yeah, they just need a lot of support and encouragement. And it takes a lot of courage, I think.
And do you think they receive the support that they need?
No, no one receives enough support in anything, I don't think. No, I don't think they receive.
But the medical profession actually discouraged us forming groups together because it made them sort of feel disempowered that we were getting together and perhaps informing each other, as opposed to relying on their system.
And also because you were supposed to be living out there in society, then it wasn't healthy to relate to others like yourself. If that's how they seen it. It was very unhealthy.
We are actually forming a community like we're doing today, and instead of just bemoaning our woes, we're actually getting up and doing something about it and empowering each other, and I think that's very positive, and that's something which I'd really like to forward.
And yet the gender clinic is slowly coming to grips with the reality of what we're constantly telling them. I mean, we've all got problems with the gender clinic and how they operate, but I suppose there is that little bit of credit to give to them that they are beginning to understand that. I mean, even the use of the word transgender was something they wouldn't relate to. For me, the surgery was really just part of the whole process. I mean, I knew who I was, and it was just something that would help me to feel more happy about my physical self. And it was, there was nothing really. I didn't expect that everything would be, there'd be birds singing and everything would be happy and lovely afterwards. I never had any of those expectations.
Get driven away from the hospital in the white limo and all that sort of stuff?
No, I didn't.
No, it didn't happen for me either. I was rather surprised about that. People make such a big deal of it, and it's like when other people talk about it, that's all they focus on. Of had you had the operation, or assuming that as instant you stick on a dress that you've had the operation. It doesn't take an operation to change your clothes.
The big change is the cultural change. It's not the operation.
Yeah.
It's actually saying to people, I'm female, publicly.
The procedures that are available at present aren't exactly 100% foolproof. There are a lot of negative aspects to them. So for our particular situation, it takes a lot of serious thought before actually entering into having anything really done.
A lot of serious money too, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah, and the unknown factors about if you have a hysterectomy, the unknown factors about how they might affect you being on long-term male hormones.
Yeah, the ramifications of things. They haven't really been researched, and I think that anyone who is thinking of having anything done should really do a lot of reading and not just believe that the medical profession is right and correct and just follow through with what they suggest you should do, because after all, you live on and they're long gone in your life, and they're not going to be there to they're just not going to be there for you if you have made a mistake.
I think the thing that sort of convinced me I'd done the right thing was about a month after I had the operation, and after having a shower, I saw myself naked in the mirror and went, wow.
The operation itself is the centre of attention, but there's so many other things which are involved. I mean, and are much more costly and much more time-consuming. I mean, for most, older male to females, the problem of electrolysis rears its head, and it's many years and many thousands of dollars. For people who have already got into male pattern baldness, there's hair transplants, and none of those are medical reimbursable at all. In comparison, the operation itself is a doddle, both in terms of time taken and also in terms of the cost. I mean, in my situation, and probably for most who've got reasonably strong growths of hair in their face, $10,000 will just go easily over time to resolve that problem?
I feel quite strongly that that's something that I believe should be covered by some sort of medical insurance, and there should be better. I'd like to see that also slightly medicalised, that you could get some anaesthetic for it and that sort of thing. Because it's quite painful, and in fact, in a lot of ways, it's more painful than the op. The op to me was, I mean, they love to go on in the papers about how lengthy and painful and traumatic it is, because it's a great little drama thing. But it's really, it's not painful. It's quite quick. You're in hospital and out in a week, and you just lay back comfortably and go for the ride.
Only physically it can be a little uncomfortable, but not painful.
If ever you wanted a clear example of how in between we are, you can sit on the table and have your penis removed, and Medicare will pay for it. And there you go, limping off, bleeding. But the rest of the operation, which puts it right, you have to pay for.
On one hand, you've got the medical profession claiming that we're diseased, or we have this sort of medical problem, and yet Medicare won't cover it because
it's your problem.
It doesn't seem consistent to me.
Some of the general public too, they don't understand that if people have sort of said, well, why should Medicare pay for surgery? It's your problem. The cost to the community, because it's reimbursed anyhow, long term, they don't understand that if people have, it is their problem, and then they have to go along and get psychotherapy, which can be ongoing.
In other areas.
The cost of the community, because it's reimbursed anyhow, it probably turns out to be greater in many ways.
And it's certainly not like our community doesn't recognise that people need to have assistance in other areas. We recognise that people are unemployed. It may be their problem, it would be a ghastly society to live in, appropriate
on one hand, you've got the medical
humane society to help out, and not to just have people,
sort of medical
suffering in the streets. Yeah, we could withdraw all help from everybody, and it would be a ghastly society to live in, I believe.
At the moment, there's a controlled program in Victoria which sets rules and probation periods, I guess, of 2 years. And then there are different situations in the other states where you might merely get the compliance of a couple of psychiatrists and then wander along with the money and turn up.
The problem we have at the moment is that it's all assessment and virtually nothing else. There is very little in the way of actual genuine help given to people. It's essentially done on a trial by fire basis. If you want to do this, you go and change over, and then they'll keep an eye on you every 3 months, and you turn up, and of course they always say in the media that their patients are given extensive psychotherapy. They're not. Well, it's not. I turned up every 3 months and was asked a few questions.
Yes,
am I still alive?
How's everything going? Good.
Am I working? Have I found a boyfriend yet? And I'd answer these questions truthfully if I felt so inclined, and then toddle off and come back 3 months later. And that was not extensive psychotherapy. What I would like to see, and of course at the end of it all, a panel of these medical professionals would sit there in judgment and decide whether I was to be offered surgery or not. And I don't feel that's appropriate. I disagree with that quite substantially. I would like to see a model where patients went along and were given say a minimum period of time of say 12 months, and then after that, well, I would like to see the medical profession get to the people helping out, try and get the patients to the stage where they were sufficiently informed and empowered to make their own choice.
What if you had a friend or a relation or a lover that decided to have a sex change? How would you feel?
Well, I think I'd have to own my own stuff with that. It'd probably bring up a lot of issues within me.
I guess I'd be shocked initially. I would go to great lengths to make sure they understood what they were doing.
Crikey, I don't know, it'd be pretty hard, I think. I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'd be hard for me to cope, actually, but yeah, I think it'd be pretty hard, yeah.
I'd be shocked, I think. I suppose I'd have to go to some sort of counselling just to try and come to terms with their attitude to wanting to change sex. I don't know, I think that'd be very difficult.
Everyone to their own thing.
Good on her or him.
I think family is a problem too. When people have come out, it's really difficult for the rest of the family, whether it's parents, cousins, children, ex-wife in this case. Yeah, for them to have to deal with it, and where they, a lot of them, especially your own parents, I think they question what they did wrong.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult for them, and there is not much in the way of any help to help them to get through that, which is rather sad too. And a lot of probably transsexuals that have come out also have an expectation that their parents should understand, and that's, you know, I mean, it's difficult enough for us to comprehend sometimes why we are the way we are, without others having to try and do it.
I guess I've taken a bit of a hard line with my parents. I've really felt that in coming out to them, initially it was sort of, you know, going out very much cap in hand, you know, please accept me, oh please. And I guess I really changed my attitude as I started to become more sure of myself and more confident in myself. I thought, no, hang on, my family still have to cut it as friends. If they're not going to be, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, in this situation where I'm not going to have children or anything, it's like a line in a play I saw: when you're in this situation, your friends are your family. And for my family my biological family to remain family, they've got to cut it as friends as well. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd go for nothing less than unconditional acceptance.
I guess the family have to work out their own way of adjusting or not adjusting. Well, in my situation, it effectively meant a complete closure with contact with my wife and my 2 children. And it's hard enough for me. It's probably very hard for them in a country town to have a biased community who knows nothing about the situation, just reinforcing the differences. And my kids must be going through hell, but I'm not able to talk to them. It's cut off.
When I came out and I was still at school, I have 2 younger sisters who were at school, and they copped heaps because of what I was doing. People weren't actually asking me questions, they were asking them questions, or any discrimination people wanted to throw at me, they actually threw at my sisters, and they found it extremely difficult. And we are very, very close now, but it took years and years and years to actually start again, basically, and get to know each other as friends and really develop from there. But we've got respect for each other, and that takes time.
I live in the country, and a very small country town, 3,000 people, and my grandmother lives nearby and my aunt, and they're really the only family I have other than my daughter. And I basically moved into this town at the beginning of my change, so the town knows, and I've been actually quite surprised at how supportive this community is. You know, it's a very typical sort of, you know, dairy industry sort of redneck town, but nonetheless people are really trying to accept you know, my daughter and myself as part of that community. And it hasn't always been easy. There's been confrontations, mostly with young males, but I think it's, you know, I think it's been a rewarding experience for me, and hopefully it's taught the town as a community something about themselves and acceptance of people that are different.
It's one thing I do find annoying, that like the legal recognition really is very, very dependent on the operation. Like you can't get your passport changed until you've had the operation, and all sorts of things like that.
That legal pressure, I hadn't really thought of it that way, but it's right. It's as if society expects you to be in one box or the other. You've got to be male or female, and if you're pre-op, then you're not in either. And all of this, every time you go, well, I'm looking for a passport, so I'll have to say I'm male, and it's really hurtful to me and very embarrassing to me, because I'm not integrated. I know what I am, what I feel I am anyway.
And then you find you're in a situation where you're having surgery to meet the needs or the criteria of government departments so that you can actually travel overseas, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just not fair, because you know who you are, what you are, and it should just be taken at face value. You say that you are male or female, and it should be, oh, okay, fine, you are, if you say you are. Especially if you're living in that role, you're actually demonstrating it every day.
Unless you have a signed statement which irrevocably shows you've got biological change, tough.
I was working for a finance company as a receptionist, and I got a... I started working there, and then this was probably 6 months or so after I changed over. And at the end of the week, you know, I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. They'd never had anyone learn the job so fast. They were really, really pleased. And then at the end of the week, they sort of said, oh, but, you know, just the formalities, we need to have a copy of your birth certificate. So it was, uh-oh. So out it came, together with the associated changes of name, and explained the whole situation. And suddenly I wasn't the golden girl anymore. Suddenly I was this problem to be dealt with. I think it comes down to something as fundamental as, whose business is it what gender I am anyway? It's between me and my lover.
Yes, exactly.
Who cares?
It always comes back down to people as individuals anyway. If you're attracted to someone, it really shouldn't matter what they have.
That's right.
As opposed to who they are.
When I went to a psychiatrist in the early stages, they were very helpful. They said, you're a deviant. Come along fortnightly and we can put some electrodes on your head. We'll cure you, not a problem.
I just got used to being confused.
I really believe what we need is assistance, because we aren't sick. I refuse to believe that I'm sick. I'm not.
No one knows about me as a transsexual. They know me about something else. I'm queer. I'm whatever. It doesn't really matter. And to my point of view, that wasn't the issue. It was what I was, not what I was attached to, rightly or wrongly.
It's not about sexuality. It's not about who you sleep with. It's not about what you look like. It's not about whether you want to be a parent or not. It's about how you see yourself. It's about your identity, and that's
what most people.
Yeah.
I actually had a lady the other day. I was doing an interview session at Crisis Line, and you had to sort of pair off in them situations and talk to each other and then tell everybody else about, you know, this person. And the person I was talking to, I thought, oh, what the heck. So I just she asked me what I was doing, and I said I was involved with a self-help group. And then she said, what sort? And I said, oh, well, with the transgender community. And she just sort of looked at me, and then I said, transsexuals. And she didn't know what it was. Quite amazing.
The people that knew me for 20-odd years as a male and then had to readjust to adjusting to me as a female, and they never really do. Or if they do, they're then looking at a quasi-female that used to be a male. They don't sort of see that it's this person that they should relate to. I don't know whether it's their own sexual hang-ups that prevents them from getting close.
It highlights people's own insecurities, because they've never questioned their gender, as you were saying before, and a lot of people have never even questioned their sexual preference.
I sort of kind of assumed that people know that it's been around, and I recently discovered that no, most people don't know.
This is the International Year of Tolerance, and I guess tolerance is, I think, is a dirty word. Tolerance is shoving you away and not talking to you.
Yes.
Allowing you to live, but not really bringing you into their life.
Well, it sort of carries the implication that there's something to tolerate.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was the International Year of Acceptance.
Yes, that would be far better. I don't have to impose upon myself a female gender, and I don't have to say that every aspect of a male, masculine gender I have to reject. I I'm perfectly at liberty, if I choose, to pick and choose those aspects that I like. In essence, I think it's sort of transcending this whole idea of you have to be one gender or the other, and saying, well, I will take the best aspects of humanity from wherever they come and try and incorporate those into myself.
For everybody, like if